Hey, how's it going everyone? Today we're going to talk about the next upcoming Cyberpunk 2077 update because it is supposed to arrive here shortly. Then we're going to continue on and talk about Project Orion because there is some good news because potentially Chicago might just be the next destination, and we'll get into that as well. Not only this, but we're also going to talk about how the former CDProjektRed developers are now creating a new game on their own, so we'll get into all this information in today's video. If you're completely brand new to the channel, or this is your second time stopping by, make sure that you are subscribed and you turn those notifications on. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive right into this. Let's start off by discussing Cyberpunk 2077's next update. As you all know, I have made a video in the past claiming that the update was supposed to arrive last week. Well, apparently that's not the case because things have been updating quite a lot over here on SteamDB. As you can tell, we have some branches that are currently locked, but they have been updated, especially yesterday. What you can tell here at the top, it says yesterday, 15 January 2024. Then if we head over towards Phantom Liberty, we can see that it has been updated as well. But here's the thing about this, it has had its depots changed and all that, but not only that, but the change list also shows that the user tags have been changed as well. So there's just a few things there to take a look at, but I wanted to let you guys know about this and let you guys know that there are still files being updated, they're still updating these branches, and most of you are thinking, well, how do I access this? Is it possible? No, you cannot access these locked branches. Of course, if you have a password, you can. Yet, I doubt that you guys have the password for this, so we'll just kind of put that to the side. So if you're wondering when the next update will be, I'm not going to predict it anymore because things have been updating left and right over here on the depot. Again, like a week ago, I thought it was going to be a hotfix, so typically they just kind of release those. But it's starting to look like this update's going to be pretty chunky, maybe 20, I've said that before, maybe 20 gigabytes, maybe less. The only reason why I say this is because they are adding FSR3, they're patching a bunch of bugs, and they are fixing a bunch of issues. So yeah, I totally believe it might just be 15 to 20 gigabytes. And again, it just might be less. This update I originally thought was going to be a hotfix, turns out to be a bigger patch, at least what I'm presuming. Anyways, hope that answers any questions that you guys may have about this topic, but let's go ahead and move on. What we're going to talk about next has to do with Cyberpunk 2077's sequel, or better known as Project Orion. Now, just recently, players have speculated that Chicago might just be the next destination. The reason for this is because a lot of players have just noticed that there are signs popping up in Cyberpunk, but to be fair, it's been here for quite some time. So you might be wondering, what sign am I talking about? If you take a look here on the screen here, you can see that this is a Reddit post by a user named ThatBotLando. He says, "Found a potential Cyberpunk sequel hint, Japantown Netrunner vendor." Then if we take a look at the middle here, it says travel from Chicago to Night City. And then right underneath this font, it says worry free coming in 2080. So this does seem like it could potentially be a hint, but this has been in the game since launch if I'm not mistaken. Now, potentially this could have been a way to travel to some sort of new DLC, some sort of new content that would have been based in Chicago, or maybe this was some sort of foreshadowing. I honestly couldn't tell you. Maybe CDProjektRed knew that they were going to create a second Cyberpunk game, but maybe this was just their way of throwing in hints. But honestly, as good as that sounds, I would assume that this was just some sort of canceled DLC. Now, honestly, I'm interested in what you all think about this information. Do you believe that this was going to be some sort of DLC for the future? Or do you think that this right here is a way for the developers to be like, hey, yeah, our second game is going to be in Chicago. The year is 2080. Also, speaking of 2080, I've seen some players assume that they're going to name it 2088, which apparently would, I guess, have some sort of negative backlash on that. If you're wondering why, well, because if you Google the number 88, it comes back with some interesting history, shall we say. So yeah, if they do name it 2088, I think there would definitely be some backlash on that. Maybe they should just stick to a different number, or just whatever the case may be, just avoid that number probably. Personally, when I assumed that it was 2088, I was like, oh, there's nothing too bad about that, right? And then I started reading some comments and I'm like, oh boy, maybe it is. Now, I would like to include something extra here because what you're going to take a look at here is a screenshot of a Twitter post from Mr. Paweł Sasko. There's actually 2 posts that he had made about 5 days ago talking about Project Orion, and not only that, but he also talked about moving from Poland all the way to Boston. Now, maybe this is just a quick way for Sasko to get right to the job because CDProjektRed is in Boston, but there could potentially be another reason. Maybe this would just be a great way for him to grab references from Boston as they have done with California. Because if you did not know, the developers actually took a trip to California, grabbed a few references, and then made their way back to their home, which would be back in Poland. So yeah, there might be a good chance that this game is based in Chicago next in 2080 something. So I don't know. Again, I'm interested in what you all think. Let me know down below. Alrighty, continuing on, we're going to talk about how the former CDProjektRed developers have created a brand new studio. Not only this, but they just announced the newest game that they are developing, so we're going to get into this information right now. Alrighty, so if you do not know exactly who Rebel Wolves are, this is what they have mentioned in their LinkedIn post. The developers started off by saying this right here: "For all of us here at Rebel Wolves, video games were always something we felt destined to do, something ingrained in our DNA. Personally, I couldn't be happier to have banded together with friends who share this passion. We are developing a video game we'd like to play in a way that games should be made. We want to evolve CRPG genre by creating unforgettable stories and stirring deep emotions, all while working as a tightly knitted team united by a shared goal and ambition. Collectively, we envision Rebel Wolves as a place where experienced game developers can reignite their passion, where they can focus on their craft and pour their love into an amazing, ambitious title. We want to stay small and agile, a place where people know and care for each other." So yeah, this is awesome, guys. I think this is one of the coolest things to see because these developers, I'm assuming, are trying not to do some sort of crunch time, right? Because that's a huge issue in video game development, is crunch time. And on top of this, the developers that created Witcher 3 and the DLC for Blood and Wine have went over here to Rebel Wolves, which is just cool. So with that information to the side, now that you have an idea of who Rebel Wolves is, we can then talk about their statement just recently about their newest game. What you can see right here is a post created by Rebel Wolves devs. This is the Rebel Wolf developers, and this is what they had to say over on X. "Usually we don't comment on rumors. However, since we've heard something through the grapevine, yes, we're working on Dawnwalker." Then right after this, a developer by the name of Philip Weber, which you guys might be familiar with, and he is a developer over at CDProjektRed, and he had this to say: "I'm super excited to see more, and I just gotta say the key art rules." Okay, so the first thing that I would like to mention is that it's really cool to see that the CDProjektRed developers are also cheering on the ex or former developers, which is just, again, really cool to see. Second off, I would like to know whether or not this is a vampire game of some sort, because the word Dawnbreaker seems like maybe it could be. Then, last but not least, I would like to say Dawnbreaker is one hell of a name. I mean, that's an absolutely stellar name, and I cannot wait to just see exactly what they do over there. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and talk about the last and final topic here, and we're going to talk about some bugs, because I always do this at the end to kind of inform you guys on what's going on with some bugs, and hopefully this will bring some sort of awareness. If we head over towards reddit.com and then we check out this post right here by a user named Tossin8080, and this is what the user had to say: "Invisible LMG after I retrieve my weapons. I'm currently facing a bug where every time I retrieve my weapons from a locker or a bag, I equipped an invisible LMG that I cannot unequip. I can't run, dash, double jump either. I can use my other guns, but it just keeps on shooting while I'm using my own guns. I faced this, but in the Firestarter mission, the last mission of Phantom Liberty, and some of the side quests in the game that requires you to stock your weapon in a safe before entering a building. Any solutions to this bug?" Now, unfortunately, I do not think there is. Maybe you can save the game and then load it back up, and then potentially it will be normal. If that does not fix it, then I would say it's probably going to remain there. There was also a comment, someone said if you throw a nade near yourself, it will disappear, so you could try that potentially and see if it fixes the problem. And if it does, let me know down below. But anyways, this right here is a huge problem right now because it's going on for quite a few players. I myself have not experienced it, so I cannot talk about it, but I have seen quite a few players go through this, and really it's a odd bug because you have an invisible LMG in your hand, but you will be rapidly firing some sort of ammunition or gun, and it's just a crazy bug. Hopefully this will be fixed or resolved in the next update, and hopefully that helps you guys out as well. So with that being said, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, comment down below. I will be answering the comments within the first hour. I appreciate all the love and support from all of you. And again, if this is your second time stopping by the channel, subscribe now, and I'll see you all in the next video.